Good day, my name is Sipongwe. I'm head of communication at the Competition Commission. The Commission celebrates 25 years of its existence, and we look into the beautiful work that it has done, some significant milestones, and we talk to a number of executives inside the Commission. Good afternoon, Makgale. Once again, thank you very much for agreeing to have this interview with us, which is looking back at what has taken place in the organization over the past 25 years. I think you are one of the most ideal people to talk to, given the fact that you have been here for the greater part of that 25 years, in fact, almost 25 years. I'm sure there are a lot of things that we have witnessed in the organization, particularly in terms of how the organization has developed organically over the past 25 years, but specifically in terms of your area, in terms of cartel investigations. What are the key things you have observed in terms of the development of the organization, significant changes that we have seen over time with regards to that, but specifically as well with regards to cartel investigations?
Thanks, Prasipo. Thank you for hosting me. Indeed, there has been lots of development since I joined in all fronts, in measures, be it enforcement, be it advocacy. There has been a quite significant and noticeable development. To answer the question you're asking directly, in terms of cartels, there has been a lot. The Commission has actually started around 2010, 2009 to start to aggressively investigate and prosecute cartels. So in 2010, the Commission established a division that is dedicated in investigating and prosecuting cartels, Cartels Division. It's now almost 15 years old. So that division has achieved quite significantly. It has prosecuted more than 1,000 cases, cartel cases, that is dismantled as we speak. So, and at the time when that division was established, I'm sure there were about 3 or 4 cartel cases that has been resolved by the Commission since its existence. So in other words, you have like a 10-year of not active enforcement in terms of cartels, and then in after 2010, you see that work increasing quite significantly. And as we speak now, we are sitting at about over 5 billion rands in terms of settlement penalties that the Cartels Division has concluded with the cartelists who were confessing to their cartel behavior. So it has been quite a lot and quite significant development since the inception of the Competition Commission.
But of course, to have a vision like that, there must have been, as you said, there were only 4 before then, there must have been significant changes in the organization, in the growth of the organization, also leading up to the establishment of that unit. What have you observed? What influenced those key kind of developments with regards to those kinds of areas?
Yeah, of course, there has been significant development, a growth of the organization, because, I mean, the organization was not very effective in dealing with cartels then. And of course, as leadership, you then have to say, what do we do? We can't just sit and let things go as they go, because at the end of the day, cartels are out there. They are causing that harm to consumers. They are, disturbing the economy from flourishing. And the only organization that has the mandate to dismantle them is the Commission. So the Commission then decided that they are going to have a dedicated division that is going to focus solely on this cartel behavior. And they also came up with other intervention, such as the corporate leniency policy, which was then used to entice the cartelists to come forward and report themselves. Of course, there have been, then they then start looking at the human capital. Do we have people, right people to investigate cartels? Because it's not the same, it's not the same as analyzing a merger. So you need a different set of skills to investigate and prosecute cartels. So there has been some investment in human capital, training those people to understand what needs to be done, corporate leniency policy, effectively, going out and making everybody aware of it. All those work resulted in influx in leniency applications. For example, at some point, we had over thousands leniencies on construction sector, which resulted in the commission designing what we called at the time a construction fast-track settlement, wherein we were inviting all the firms that are implicated to come in and settle. And that was kind of a launch pad for the Cartels Division. From there, then it excelled. It just went up and uncover all sorts of cartels in different sectors, in the shipping, in the automotive, you name it. So lots of them.
That was foresight, though, because when you look at that period, you then uncovered the biggest cartel at the time, or one of the biggest, in the construction sector. There was 2010 World Cup at the time, and of course, then you cracked the cartel that was active at the time. Of course, amongst others. So clearly, there was foresight. Clearly, the influx now that you're talking about in the corporate leniency is based on that foresight in terms of the leadership.
Correct. And I mean, it's one area, cartel enforcement is one area that you must continuously rethink about your strategies on how to catch cartels. Remember, they are secretive. So they always take chances. They always do some calculations. If I'm caught, how much I'm likely to lose. If I'm not caught, how much I'm likely to make. And then they make the calculation. Sometimes, because they are very lucrative for them, they would not come forward, which means then you, as the authority responsible to catch them, you've got to make sure that at all times you develop yourselves and you sharpen your tools so that you are able to catch them at any given time. So you can't afford to be left behind by the cartelist, because the moment that happens, you are killing cartel enforcement. You'll never catch even a single one.
And impressively, you are very agile, because you catch them. They have far bigger budgets than the Competition Commission does, and we're able to break most of the backbones of the cartels that you were investigating. How did you pick your staff? How did you develop the level of trust and loyalty with your staff that you were able to do those things? Because it's easier for the people that you investigate to buy your stuff. But the commission has been that center of excellence where you haven't seen this. You just see success after success with regards to cartels investigation.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very critical area, this one, because if you understand the impact that cartels causes on the economy and on consumers, so you would understand that the damage is so huge. It's so huge that you actually want everybody who is doing this work to understand that, to understand the importance of the work they're doing, its impact on the lives of the ordinary South Africans. And once that is understood, then it gives them the drives it drives them to go out there, investigate and prosecute this kind of behavior so that, you can then have economy that is free of cartels. Remember, most of South Africans are poor. Majority, the bigger majority are black people who are poor. So when you have cartels, economy that is infested by cartels, what it means is that, for example, if they say it's price fixing, the majority of people who are consuming those products are the poor. So the price fixing behavior of the cartelics, it robs the poor people the little that they have. So if they are selling something that it's supposed to be 10 rand and they are selling it at 20 rand, it means that those poor people, each and every one of them, they are losing their extra 10 rand every day they buy that product.
Yes. And what you have done, and which is admirable, is to be able to sell the vision that the leadership had to the general members of the commission, to be able to investigate that. So there was a huge trust. There was no gap between your investigators and the leadership. How do you achieve that?
Yeah, once again, trust is everything, right? On these issues, it's everything. So if you trust your leadership, and the leadership trust their staff, then they cannot be miscommunications. So when my team comes to me and say, we have this, I trust them that they have that. And then we together look at it. When I go to the leadership and say, this is what we have, the leadership trusts that we have that. So, and then as a result, then you have that culture of, not anyone trying to second guess the other one. We kind of work together. And I mean, in the nature of the job we do on cartels, you've got to be pro-enforcement all the time. Anything comes that you think is marginal, you must still want to see if that marginal is not leading you to something else that is bigger than, it's leading you to the direction you want to go in terms of getting the evidence to prosecute the case. You are not dismissive of things. When people come to you and say, nah, there's nothing. No. You follow through. You check if that is not a glimpse of something, of something big. It's not a tip of an iceberg. And in most of the time, in the nature of the conduct, we found that there is that. Remember, we have done a lot of dawn raids. And we were doing those dawn raids on the basis of tips on the iceberg. And we uncovered in the dawn raids evidence, a lot of evidence that we would not ordinarily get if we did not take those steps that we took that led us to making decision to conduct dawn raids.
And that approach has led now South Africans to know about the bread cartel, to know about what happened in shipping, to know what happened in construction, to know what happened in many sectors that in those 1,000 cases we're talking about were able to break in the course of investigation. What other cases come to your mind with regards to the success of cartels, given the relationship you have, one, with your investigators, but two, with the credible information that they brought to you?
Yeah, look, there are a lot of cases. I did say at the beginning that we have, in the last 15 years or so, dismantled over 1,100 cases. And when I say dismantled, I'm talking about cases that we have resolved. We do have a long list of cases we are resolving, both at the tribunal, competent tribunal, but also at the investigation stage at the commission. So there's quite a lot of them. Some of them we have actually even asked them to, because they were not competing. We've asked them to enter markets where they were not competing and start selling the product in competition with their their fellow catalysts. We have even forced some to build manufacturing plant to manufacture products that they were catalyzed so that they can compete with their fellow catalysts. The case against Unilever comes to mind. Unilever and Semi-Dabi comes to mind. So there are quite number of them that we have resolved in construction. You've spoken about World Cup stadia, but even these freeways in Gauteng, they were subjected to collusive tendering. You're talking about the shipping liners, these guys who are shipping cars from South Africa to overseas or from overseas to South Africa. Eventually, all the sectors of the economy were cartelized. We have dismantled those cartels. We hope they are not regrouping, and we are saying if they are regrouping, we are coming again.
And we have given back a lot. I know you will talk more about what you have done in the media space. There are instances where you have forced cartels to give back to the communities where they have done damage, which you had mentioned earlier, in terms of robbing the consumer. Can you tell us more about what you did in the media and the kind of giving back and many other areas, if you can remember, where you have given back?
Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot of examples. We can go back as back as the bread cartels. The bread cartels, the catalysts were required to reduce the price of bread to a particular level, so that the bread it's afforded by those are poor. There were some funds that were also established to sponsor some agro-processing activities. We have also recently concluded settlement with a edible oil company who undertook to actually donate some foodstuff to old age facilities across the country, who undertook to fund education for students, in the main women from the historically disadvantaged communities, where they have taken and made an undertaking to increase their procurement spend on firms that are controlled by the historically disadvantaged persons. So we also had instances where there's also, the sponsoring of entries into the market of the HDIs, I think those are kind of things that we do. We usually look at the cases. It's a case-by-case basis. If there's an opportunity for us to do that, we will, as we negotiate settlements with the parties, we will include those.
Now, coming to present day, there's a lot of developments in technology. There's AI. What are the challenges? Are you geared up to be able to deal with cartels in the technology age?
Yeah, look, it's a little bit difficult, that area. It needs some resources, and as the Commission, we have started quite some time to prepare ourselves for this world. We have acquired the necessary tools. We have attended the necessary trainings. We are transiting into that world. But I must say that the transition has been very slowly, to my frustration, because I think that there may be a party there taking place by the catalyst, and we are not We are not fully there with them. They are a step ahead, but we are coming behind them. We are right behind them. And as soon as all our tools are in operation, we should be able to start catching them, and we will catch them.
Talking about your frustrations, I'm sure the banks are frustrating you, and I'm sure the characterization issues are some of your challenges. What do you think, where we are and some of the challenges that we have faced in that regard, and how do we resolve them?
Yeah, look, let's take the issue of characterization. Yes, it is frustrating because it's not clear what actually it is. This characterization, that's why it's frustrating. You can't even pin your finger on it. It keeps on changing its shape. It's like it's an amoeba. So we were hoping that maybe courts would actually clarify this once and for all, but it's not getting clarified. So what we have now decided is because we want to overturn that jurisprudence on characterization. We think it's not. It's also not that fair, because all the time when they say characterization, the court will rule against the commission. There's no point when the courts have characterized a cartel behavior and say the commission is right, and we are of the view that that cannot be right. That cannot be right. We can't be wrong all the time. And when you check the reasons why you are wrong, they are not right. You just have to sit there and wonder for a while. But we are intending to overturn this jurisprudence. This jurisprudence is unfair. It's unfortunate. It cannot be left to stand. It has to be overturned. Internally, we have been working very hard to find a case that we will use to overturn this characterization jurisprudence. It's so unfair because it actually try to explain things away in such a way that they can be justified as not contravening the act. When you can see this is a per se prohibition, but the respondents and the courts try to come up with innovative ways of circumventing the law. And I must say the reason why they've done that is because they've been battered so many times. They've lost so many times, and they realize that they've got to come up with a plan.
They need to be slowed down.
To slow down this thing, because this thing is taken over and it doesn't give them the space to breathe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I suppose it's something that happens in the space we are. That's why we ourselves have to find a way to overturn the things, so to turn the corner, so that we take over the stage again and win a characterization. We just need to win one. And we are getting there. We have identified cases internally. We are busy with them, which we will refer for prosecution. And we know that the characterization issue will be raised there.
Wrapping up, I think the last question.
Yeah, there was a banking aspect of it.
Right, yes.
Yeah, look, what is happening in banking is it's something that you would expect in cases of that magnitude. You are prosecuting 28 banks, foreign and local banks, most powerful institution in the markets. In any economy, you have banks as the power. So the commission has decided to prosecute the banks based on what we found as a collusion against them. we knew that they were going to challenge us. They were going to challenge us up to the highest court in the land. And we have always prepared ourselves psychologically that we go with them wherever they go. And at the end of the day, we will not stop until they account to the South Africans what they have done to our rand. So our matter now is at the Concord. We hope that after the Concord, it will be very clear where the matter is it's going, but we will not give up on this one.
Yes, of course, it has to be settled. And fortunately, we have won a number of other arguments against many of the accused who have settled with you.
Indeed. What is so interesting in this case is that the very same banks that are fighting with us, taking us to all courts that exist in the country, they have settled this matter in Europe and in the US. So you ask yourself, because it's the same behavior where South Africans are prosecuting you on. So why are you not settling? Instead, you want to be fighting. So because we are doing this in public interest. In other words, we are acting for the South Africans. So and I think they deserve to be protected against this unscrupulous behavior. That's why we will not stop. We will not stop pursuing banks. We will pursue them up to the end. And it's a very interesting issue. Banks are arguing that we don't have jurisdiction to prosecute them. And we're saying, well, if you were colluding using the South African rands, when you were fixing the South African rands, we have jurisdiction because there's no one in the world who can prosecute banks for fixing the South African rand. It's only the South Africans, and those South Africans is us. Yeah. And we will not stop. We'll do that job. Of course, we do have other banks that have decided that they're gonna settle. They've settled with us. They were in the same cartels with these ones that are fighting us. That's why it doesn't make sense. But these things don't have to make sense.
Indeed. In fact, that takes us to the last question where I want to wrap up, because this behavior, as you said, it's international. And we work a lot, of course, with our international counterparts. And there has been a lot of talk. And I think we have done that a lot in working with other jurisdictions. And taking all our matters, including cartels, how important is cooperation with other stakeholders, international regulators, but both other regulators inside and outside the country, as the future of cartels? To what extent do you think those relationships are very key in your successes going forward?
Yeah, so Brasipo, it's very important, and it's not only the international cooperations or collaborations. It's also the awareness in the country, in our country, awareness, consumer awareness, business awareness, and I think the work that is done by advocacy to raise the level of awareness about the Act, the Competition Act, also contribute a lot in helping the authority to detect certain cartel behavior. So when the nation is aware, it's educated on this field, they're able to come forward and report this conduct. Remember, we said they're secretive, but in that secret room, there are people. One of those people usually would break rank and come and tell us, but they can only do that if they know that what is being done there is illegal. On the international front, most of the cases, the big cases, even the banking, the one we just spoke about, if it was not international cooperation, we wouldn't have amassed the lot of evidence that we have against the banks. For example, we were assisted by the Americans and we were assisted by the Europeans to in our investigation of the banks. They have also assisted us in other prosecutions that we successfully completed, like the automotive and the shipping liners. So we work very close with our international counterpart on investigations. We have agreements that regulate our interactions. When we have investigations, we engage with them. If they have similar investigation, we talk about them. They help us, we help them. Even in Africa, we actually, South African Competition Authority and even myself in particular, I've spent a lot of time training our fellow brothers and sisters in the continent, the entire SADC, what you call the entire ACF. I've run a lot of training. I go there. Sometimes we organize them to come here. So for them to be effective in the enforcement of their legislation, they needed capacity building, and I've spent a lot of time building those capacities for those institutions. And now I'm at the point where I say there is some capacity that exists there, but we continue to provide support on them. So international cooperation is very important. Remember the cross-border cartels? When the cross-border cartels, you may not be aware of them, but your fellow your neighbor, in terms of maybe Botswana or so, they all know about it, and then they tell us. So we are able to share that. So that is because that's because of the importance of the international cooperation.
Anything you want to say to reflect, anything that you think we may have left out, you looking back and looking forward with regards to what we have achieved, what we have gone through as a commission over the past 25 years? Well,
the only thing really I would say is to it's about the staff of the commission, is that they must just continue to work hard. They are doing this work. They are the chosen one to do the work in the public interest. Everyone out there rely on them to discharge do this work in such a manner that consumers are protected against unscrupulous behaviors of business. The business has made it very clear throughout the years that they are willing to victimize consumers. We have seen that during COVID. So the staff of the commissions are the hopes of the hopeless. They are the ones that they will always stop the evil on their track to victimize the poor and the hopeless. So when they do their work, they must remember that at all times, that if they don't do it, they are perpetuating the harm and the suffering of a poor individual that is sitting in a corner somewhere in Mtuba.
Thank you very much, Koko Dlamini. We end it on the Koko Dlamini note. Makgale, thank you. I really appreciate your time, and thank you very much for making your time.
Thank you, Prasipo, for the opportunity.